Welcome to another episode with your brother Ray here. I don't have my camera on. I mean, it wasn't a good camera from the get-go there, so hopefully I'm gonna get a new camera. We'll see, maybe, or we just have to go with the voice recording. But with no further ado, let's start this video here. I got a couple things I want to touch on, and I'm gonna actually answer a question also that I had from my on my previous video on the comments there. But also I'm gonna go in and answer a couple other questions also that I got here. Now, the question I'll begin with was, is it Yahweh or Jehovah? Well, I'll say it's neither of them. It's neither Yahweh or Jehovah. Both of them are actually pronounced incorrectly, but also grammatically incorrect. And this is not to bash anyone. I mean, if you feel comfortable to go around and saying Yahweh, Yahweh, just because you used to saying that, go ahead, but that doesn't mean it's the right pronunciation of the name of the Most High Yah. And the reason I'm saying it is because you can see it in the language, but also just look at the names of the prophets and how they are spelled in the original spelling in itself. Now, a lot of people come with some sources and they say this is the original spelling. But when you're looking at the dating of those sources, it's more recently. And the language in itself has developed from this century to the next, and so on and so on. So from every generation, the language has been developing and also being influenced by other languages. And that's just a part of it. It is what it is. But in the Aramaic language, when we write the names of the prophets and also the name of the Most High Yah, we write it as Yahweh, not Jehovah. The way you have to pronounce it, if you specifically want to have the letter of J, that's a whole nother spelling to it. So if you would say Jehovah, that would like alter the name of Yahweh, and not only that, the way you even spell it and pronounce it. So, and I mean, it's telling by itself and how it sounds. So Yahweh and Jehovah, and nowhere is it spelled as Yahweh. That's grammatically incorrect. And the reason I'm saying that, if look just the name of all the prophets that starts with the name of Yahweh. It's, for example, Yuel. 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 That's how we say it. You. Now in English we say Joel, right? So I understand why people say Jehovah. So that's just a transliterated name. So I'm not bashing on anyone saying Jehovah or saying Yahweh. But to answer your question, yeah, there's a difference between that. Because not like for the sake of understanding what the words is, that has a very important meaning to it. And it's very important to also understand that how you spell a word can either mean this or that. So you can change the meaning of the word depending on how you spell it. And that's just the way the Hebrew languages, the Aramaic languages like that, similar like that. So, and I know Old Greek language is like that also. You can have one word, but it can mean different things depending on the context in itself. Now, in Greek, I'm not sure that they have a different spelling depending on the context. I know in Aramaic specifically we got that. So that's why it's very important also, for example, when we have the sound of V, We either spell it with the letter Wav or with the letter B, but we have a dot under it. That becomes the sound of V. So, for example, when we say Mar ya Savut, Mar means master, Ya is Ya. So Mar Ya. Then we say Savut. So that's what a lot of people say, Sabaoth. So it's the translators, they see, it's a B, so that's the way you're going to say it, Sabaoth. But that's really not a word. You don't pronounce it like that. Now you could spell it with a Wav, but that wouldn't be grammatically correct either. So that's why the spelling, the language in itself is just like that. We got different rules to it and so on. Nothing I'm going to go into right now, but the spelling of Savut, that means host, is with a B, a dot under it, so it becomes the sound of V. So you got it as Maria Savut. And the transliterated word would be Master Yah of host. Now, I'm saying, now some will think, now why did you say Yah if you say Yehovah? Well, I'm gonna touch on that also, and it's a reason why I'm actually going into and explaining also the word Maria Savut, because I just said Yah, right? Well, you can say the name of Yehovah in the beginning of a name. You say Yeh, so it's Yisho. Many say Yeshua, it's Yisho. And when we say it fast in Aramaic, it becomes like Yisho, Yisho. And for the Greeks, hearing that, when the apostles called his name Yisho, Yisho, they said Esau, Esau. They don't have the letter Shin, right? So it became Esau, Esau. And later on it became Esos. And that's for specifically put a meaning to that name, that it's a masculine name in the Greek language. So it became Esos. And from that Esos, it became Jesus. So in the beginning of the name, you say E, right? So it's Yisho, it's Yuel, it's Yuash, Joash, Joel. You don't say Yaoel, or you don't say Yauash. It's grammatically incorrect. So in the beginning of the word, just look at all the prophets, their names. Alright, just go back to that. I won't go through all the prophets and their names that begin with the name of Yeh or Yehovah. But just look at their names and you're going to see that's how we say it. Now it may sound different. And if this is really an interesting topic, I don't know, maybe I can make a more specific video about these things. But that's what it is. Simply explaining it, yes. But if you have his name in the ending of a word, that's when you say Yah. Okay? So, for example, we say Mar Yah, Master Yah. Ilah Yah, which means the highest of all else is Yah. That literally means the most high Yah. Ilah Yah. Or Maria. So when you have the name of Yah in the ending of a word or a name, it's always Yah. Eliah, which is Elijah. Eliah. Azariah, Azariah. So at the ending of a name, grammatically, the spelling and the pronunciation of the name of Yehovah is Yah. But if someone goes around and say Yahweh, Yahweh, well, that's not correct. Actually, there's another deity in the Phoenician and the Canaanite pantheon that has a very similar spelling to Yahweh or Yahweh or Yanim or Yanom and so on. And these scholars and researchers, they see that without even knowing the original language and how to grammatically correct spell the name of Yehovah, they say, oh, you see, the word, the Bible and all that is just a copy of Canaanite religion and so on and so on. And even the name of Yahweh, you see, we got it here. One of the deities, or a couple of deities in the Canaanite and the Phoenician pantheon, you got beginnings of those names is Yah. But that's not how you spell the name. So, for example, when we say Yehuda, we say Yehuda, Yehuda, Yehuda. That's Judah, right? So it means Yah is royal, but it also has a similar another name for it also. That means a hand. So that you're holding up your hand as worshiping, but it also means Yah is royal. That's the name of Yehuda. So it got two meanings to it. And this is just how you speak the language, how you spell the language, and so on. So my advice is, if you're kind of still confused on how will I pronounce the name of Yahweh, well, just look at the names of the prophets. Anyways, I hope I answered the question there. Let us go forward here. Let's see here. Yeah. I'm going to begin my presentation here with Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which has been done is that which shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Now we're going through the names of the sons of Nuh, the one we call Noah in English, right? And in Genesis chapter 10 verse 2 through 3, it reads like this. And I've translated from from Aramaic to English, and this is the best I've done to translate it. So this is the closest I can do. Anyways, it says the sons of Yafet, Gomer, Magog, and Maddai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Mashach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Repath, and Togarma. So, and we have this name Gomer, right? And the root word for Gomer, it literally means to end, to come to an end, to finish off. Now, I just want to add this thing so you people know. Now, the word Gomer is not used in Romans 10. But the word specifically used in Aramaic, it's qiyasa, is used. So that means to reinforce, that means to fortify, that also means to stiffen. And it actually goes in the same context, the same thought process that we have in Matthew 5:17. And the Greek word is telos. And that's also the same. It means that the end goal, the ultimate goal, and so on. So a lot of people that think that the law is done away with, it's nothing like that. The law is never done away with. How can the Most High do away with a law that has to do with life, that all of a sudden he'll say, well, you know what, you don't need to do it. Yeah, the Gentiles are grafted in by grace and not by works of their forefathers. Alright? But we as Israel, we know that we have, because of the love of for our forefathers, the Most High Yah, His word doesn't change. It's still intact, and it's still gonna fulfill what it is supposed to fulfill. As soon as it comes out from His mouth, it is sure. He is faithful, and it will be fulfilled. So, just so you know, if you say you love the Most High Jesus Messiah, well, keep my commandments. That's what Jesus said. If you love me, keep my commandments. That's it. Now, with that said, yeah, we don't have a temple. There are some things that we do not perform And the grace of the Most High, the mercy of the Most High Jesus Messiah is upon us, all of us, Gentiles and Israel as a whole. And when I say Israel, I also mean like the 10 tribes that are scattered in the four corners of this world, but also the constellation of Yehuda, Judah. That is Levi, Benjamin, and Yehuda, Judah, right? So when I say Israel, I mean both of them. When I'm going to be specific, then I will specifically mention the specific tribe that I'm talking about. But when I'm saying Israel, I mean the whole. Just so you know. I'm probably repeating myself. But anyways. So, we know that now this word, Gomer, like every word, every name, like they have their own meaning. And it is things like this. Even from the Genesis. When I read Genesis, I don't need to like go into trying to explain what this means and not means and trying to figure out. I just go to the dictionary. I know what the word is. I know what the name is. And that's where we have it in the Aramaic dictionary. Now we have different kind of dialects in the Aramaic. And some words are the same, or actually many words are the same as Hebrew. Now the Hebrew language, you have to understand that a lot what we call Hebrew language is heavily influenced by Canaanitish language. And just to make you understand, if you ever go in and now you have to have the shield and the Spirit of the Most High, the Holy Spirit upon you, and have His sword, His shield, His buckler, His helmet within you and upon you, so that when you read stuff, for example, like if you read the Ugaritic text, and also if you go read the epic of, for example, Baal, you're going to see that in those words that they use, the Canaanite language, is the same words that they have in Hebrew. And the reason for that is because Hebrew got influenced by Canaanite language. Now before he would come out from his father's house, he was in the land of Ur, right? Abraham was in the land of Ur. And when he came out from that land, even it's written in the law, our father was an Aramean. It doesn't mean he comes from the line of Adam. I mentioned this before. But the language they spoke is Aramaic language. It's very close to the Syrian, Aramaic, Akkadian language. All these languages are very close related. And I mentioned before that the Aramaic language is just a standardized language of the Syrian language. So when the Shemites spoke with each other, they understood each other. Like the Syrians, the Babylonians, the people from Ur, and the Akkadians, they understood each other. Whereas different dialects, of course it was. But it was the same, very similar language to each other. So that's what Aramaic is. It's a standardized form for handling business, handling governmental questions, and so on and so on. So right, this was just a way of communicating. Now even the Egyptians knew Aramaic, and that was the language they used to communicate back and forth. The Persians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, and so on. So like I said, it's just a standardized language. So when you have people at the time of Jesus Messiah speaking this, that's because that's what people used to speak at that region. They spoke Aramaic. So that doesn't mean that, like, a lot of people I heard like saying, oh, was that the language of the Jews? Well, no. I mean, that was their daily language. Yeah, most of them, that's what they knew. That's what they spoke, and that's how they wrote letters and so on. But the language in itself is still Hebrew. It is. And that's what the scribes, when they copied this like a copy of a scripture, most of the time they use the Hebrew language. Now, when I say Hebrew language, it was in the letters of the Aramaic Babylonian letters, but in that Hebrew language. That was actually a mishmash of Canaanite language, Egyptian language, Hamitic language, and so on, right? So I know a lot of people think and they say, what language did Adam speak? Did Adam speak Hebrew? No. It's not written anywhere that Adam spoke Hebrew. Now there are some Jewish mysticists in Jewish mysticism. You have some books that they clearly state that Adam spoke Hebrew, and Hebrew is the language of the Creator, and so on and so on. And that's not actually written anywhere. It's not given any witness to it anywhere besides those books. So I take it with a grain of salt, because if that's so, someone could say, well, what about Aramaic? Because all the words from Genesis to Revelation, all the words, the names and everything, like it's not a strange thing for me. I understand what the names mean. So there's a meaning behind every name. So how can I understand it? Oh, then I'll go and make the conclusion that, oh, you know what? Aramaic language is the language that Adam spoke. Now, do I believe that Aramaic is the closest to the language that we had before the dispersed of all language, when everyone was gathered and building the Tower of Babylon, when everyone had one language, one tongue, and so on? Yeah, I believe it's very close to it. Is it the same? No, I don't believe that. There's no factual evidence to it like that. Just because I know the names, know the language, so like I understand what the names mean, and of persons, places, and so on, that doesn't actually give me the right to say, yeah, Aramaic is the one language that everyone spoke, and so on, or so on. I think it's close to it, as close as you can come, and I think that is one of the reasons I do understand all the names in from Genesis through Revelation. It's just not a mystery for me, and obviously I know also that everything that is given to us is given by the Most High. So even there's many times I've read a word, it's in my own language, and I just don't understand that word, and I go through it, and then when I come back and all that, I do a research, whatever it is. Then I look into this. I say, how could I miss this word? This is what this word means, and so on and so on. So yeah, I believe everything is given by the Most High. He opens our eyes, our understanding, and so on. So, but that's what that word means. That name, Gomer, it means to end, to come to an end, to finish off, right? And that's the root word. Now, the word in itself, like Gomer, it means to blot out, to lay waste, to obliterate, to erase, to expunge, to remove, to wipe off, to write off, to raise, to blot out, to rub out, to cross out, to overthrow, to wreak havoc on, to ravage, to lay waste, to devastate, and so on, so on, right? So, yeah. Now, with that said, I want to go to Ezekiel here. We're going to go to Ezekiel here, and you're going to understand. Now, what I'm reading in Ezekiel, you can read it in Revelation also. This is like after the 1,000 years that Satan has been bound, he's being released, and he goes to the nations, and he gathers all the nations to come and make war with Israel. And we're gonna go here. Let me see. Here, Ezekiel 38, and I'm reading from the Berean Standard Bible this time. I was reading like different kind of ones, and just for the sake of, I think it's very, it has its issues, but it's very easy to understand in English. when I read Berean Standard Bible, at least for me. Anyways, if you have another version that you think it's easier for you, go ahead read that. But I always do advise that look through all the versions, specifically when you're looking to understand a specific thing in a specific word or the context and so on. I think it's very important to look through all these different kind of translations and versions. Anyways, and it says, and the word of Master Yah came to me, saying, now I'm going to say Master Yah when I read Lord, just so you know. And when it says God, I'm going to say Allah, because God is actually a name that is actually derived from Gadriel, and that's one of the names of Satan. So Gadriel can means wall of El, Gadriel, but it also can mean a gathering of El. So it can mean a wall of El, but it also can mean gathering of El. And that's where that word God comes from. Because in Proto-Aryan language, Japhetic language, you actually have the word of Al or El in it. So that's what they used to also say. A lot of people say, well, that's Hebrew. That's Hebrew. That's what they say. El is Hebrew, and that's what it means, a high one. Well, no, you had it actually in Aryan language also, in Japhetic, Caucasian, like early language. You had it, and the reason I'm saying is because the study I've done, you can see it in old writings where they have the word El in their wordings. In different kind of words they have El in it. So just so you know, I mean, at the end of the day, the understanding we have from the word is like all of us had one and the same language. So will it be similarities from this language to that language? Yes, of course it will. So it's not a big surprise for me, at least, when I know that, yeah, the word El or Al is in the Aryan or Proto-Aryan language. So this word that a lot of people think God means El, all right? It's not. God derives from a name that comes from this Gadriel. And like I said, Gadriel is one of the names of Satan. Now some will say, what about Samael? Samma means poison. Samma. Samael. So that's his name as a dragon, as a serpent, right? As Nachash. Now we know that Nachash was a beast of the field, so it's not really Satan himself that is in Eden, but it's a beast of the field. So it's a walking, talking, humanoid, serpent-looking creature, right? A beast of the field, and very intelligent. Anyways, but that's his name in that form, like a seraphim form or dragon form. It's or a serpent form. It's Samael, and Samma means actually poison. So, and that's like Sammet Khuwa or Sammet Nachash. That means the poison of a snake. That's just something, not any special words that I'm using. So that's just what it is. Anyways, so when I'm reading Lord, I'm going to say Master Yah. When I'm reading God, I'm going to say Allah, because Allah is the way it is written. Even, and a lot of people think that Eloha is Hebrew and Allah is Aramaic. No, actually, even in Old Hebrew, in the original Hebrew, they said Allah. The way they spell it, there's no O there. There is Allah. There's no O. Elo is a feminized word of Allah. It's a feminized word. So Eloha is a feminized word of Alaha. We say Alahim or and Alaha. I know some modern Hebrews, they speak like it because that's what they know, and they don't know that many of them don't know Elo is just a feminized word of Allah. So they say Eloha or they say Elohim. And I even heard some of the scholars, so ridiculous, they say Alacha, Alacha, and all that, Alacha, like we don't even spell it like that, or Elocha, Elocha. Now I've heard Elohim, I've heard that, but even that, it kind of means something else. When we say Alachim, it means something else. But usually we say Alahim or Alaha, and that's how it's spelled. It's spelled even in Hebrew, Old Hebrew. So, anyways, take it or leave it. And the word of Mastia came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Mashech and Tubal. Prophesy against him, and declare that this is what Mastia Allah says. Behold, I am against you, O Gog, chief prince of Mashech and Tubal. I will turn you around, put hooks in your jaws, and bring you out with all your army, your horses, your horsemen in full armor, and great company, armed with shields and bucklers, and brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will accompany them, all with shields and helmets, as well as Gomer with all its troops, and Bet Togarma from the far north with all its troops, the many nations with you. Now Togarma, Germaniah, Germans, Bet, the house of Germaniah. Now you got different tribes of German people. They all come from Gomer, right? Togarma is one of the sons of Gomer. As is we read here earlier, you got Gomer is you got the sons of Gomer is Ashkenaz, Ripta, and Togarma. Now there are different tribes of Germanic people. Gomer is for the Germanic people. He's the progenitor of the Germanic people, and that's just what it is. Anyways, I know a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but the Armenians, and where you got like northern Turkey, Anatolia, that's what Bet Togarma is from, and so on and so on. Well, that's not the whole truth. Just because you think that they lived there in a certain amount of time and history, that doesn't mean that's where they're settled in the end. Where they settle in the end is up north. All these families, Gomer, Ashkenaz, Ripta, and Togarma, all his families is all up in north, all of them. They were what we call the northern people. So it's everything from the English, the Germanic people, and so on. So now, for example, I'm gonna, like, you have the letter to Galatians, right? You know the letter to Galatians. You know in Galatia, it's located somewhere in Turkey, right? Modern Turkey nowadays. And people will say, well, are Celts Turkish people? No, they're not. The Galatians were Gallic people, right? They are Celtic people. Not all Celtic people are Gallic, but Gaul people are Celtic. You got different kind of Celts, different kind of family lines, right? But they all belong to the same family line from the beginning. That is Gomer. Okay? And that's just what it is. You have to look into these things by yourself. Just become I'm saying it, you go look into it. You prove me wrong. I know you can't, but anyways. So, because till today we call them in our own language Germaniah. We don't call the Armenians Germaniah. We don't. We call them Germans till today Garma. So it is what it is. And actually Austrians, we call them Lemsa. Lemsaya. So you have this he's in Assyrian from the Turkish area, Christian, and his name is George M. Lamza. Okay, now in Assyrian it's Guergis Mum Isho Lamsa, and Lamsa means Austria. So he in his name he actually tells where he is from. By his name we know where his forefathers is from. So just because he calls himself Assyrian and he's lives in the region of Turkey, or he's from there, that doesn't mean that his forefathers are from that area. Right? I'm just explaining like that. Anyways, it says, as well as Gomer with all his troops, and Bet Togarmah from the far north with all his troops, the many nations with you. Okay, and you have to read it by yourself, all the rest of it, and also read Ezekiel 39. But that's what the name means. It means to come to an end, to finish off, to blot out. So, with that said, I also mentioned that here previously that the word is Gomer. Yeah, right, that's what is used, but it's not used like in Romans 10:4 or in Matthew 5:17, right? But it's used, Gomer, the word Gomer is used like that in Hosea. So if we go to Hosea chapter 1, starting at verse 2 through 3 here, it says, the beginning of the word of Mastiah by Hushai. And Mastiah said unto Hushai, go and take for yourself a woman of fornications and children of fornications, because the land has surely fornicated, departing from Mastiah. And I went and took Gomer, daughter of Divlachem, and she conceived and gave birth to him a son. Now that word is Gomer. So a lot of people will say, why is a female named Gomer? Well, this name isn't the real name on that woman, just so you know. I know a lot of people will say that Gomer can be a female name and a masculine. No, it's a masculine name. It's not a female name. It's a masculine name. The word that is used there, it means to end, to come to an end, to finish off, to obliterate. And that's because of all the sin of Israel, what we did, and broke the covenant of the Most High Jesus Messiah. Now, we didn't call him Jesus Messiah at that time, but the Most High, right? So, and it says Divlachem, the daughter of who? Divlachem. That doesn't mean it's real name also. Divlachem can mean a real name, it is, but it can also be like something that is explanatory. So Gomer is explanatory to the reader. Divlachem is the same way also. It's explaining what is going on. Okay? So it's utter destruction, and then it says daughter of who? Daughter of Divlachem. Well, what is Divlachem? Okay? Divlachem, it's a fig cake or a fig bread. Okay? And it was these kind of cakes or breads Israel used to give as an offering to other elves. Alright, everything from Baal to Queen of Heaven and other deities, to Aduna, to Adonai. I know a lot of people, they say, oh, Adonai, Baal means just a master. No, Baal doesn't mean a master. Aduna doesn't mean master. It's a name of another deity. Okay, it's a Phoenician Assyrian deity. Baal is another deity. It's a name of another deity. All these names have meaning. So Baal, it means Father Al, but it also means Balepa. That means devouring. The devouring Al. Okay? So it means the devouring Al, or it also means Father Al. So, and with that, they say, yeah, in that understanding, many people will say, yeah, but it means master, because it means father. Father is the master of the house. Well, no. It literally is a name for another deity. So I know a lot of people, they say, oh, just a word for husband. No, because we have a specific word for husband. This is, again, it's a name. So I know a lot of my people, they still are bound by saying Baal and using that word for husband and master. And for the Most High, they say Adonai instead of proclaiming his name. For example, if we're going to swear an oath between one brother and another brother, even in the law, it's clearly, you have to use his name. It says don't use his name in lying. Now in English it says don't take Master Yah's or the Lord's name in vain. That's what it says in English, right? The Lord's name in vain. It literally is, in Aramaic it says, don't take Master Yah's name in lying. So you shouldn't, what name should you use when you, for example, swear between, now I'm not recommending for anyone to swear, because we know that Jesus Messiah said that's not a wise thing to do, right? Because if you do, make sure to complete that, even if it's to own your own hearth, make sure to complete that, whatever you swore, right? So, but like Jesus Messiah said, don't swear. Say yeah or no. That's it. Your yes will be yes and your no will be no. That's it. Okay? So, and that's the wisdom from the Most High Jesus Messiah, and that's something that we should not take lightly. So, but like I said, still a lot of my people, they still go by and saying Hashem, the name. Is that the way you're going to fulfill the law? When you're going to make swearing between two brothers or whatever you do? No, it's not given to us. So that's just rabbinical mysticism and strictly straight up satanic. Nothing else. They're serving another deity, another El. So I want to end this video with, look, I want to say these things. I kind of maybe sound very harsh to many people, but the way we are going nowadays, you have to understand there's a lot of doctrines there, and they have their own make me feel good, like things that they want to just add to their own faith, and they think that's righteousness and truth, and it's not. What we should do is hold on to what the language is. We should hold on to what first and foremost, what the scriptures is, and what the apostles gave us. Jesus Messiah, the apostles, the prophets. And you have to also understand that the scriptures is not written in another language than Hebrew and Aramaic. And a lot of people will say, well, it's Hebrew. Yeah, it is. But the Aramaic language hasn't changed. So when I read Genesis, from Genesis to Revelation, there's no like contradiction for me. When I really read it and I accept what it says, I don't try to put my understanding to it or whatever someone else said, because if I do, yeah, there will be contradictions. But if I read exactly word to word, that's what it says, there's no confusion. And the fallen ones from the beginning, that's what they want to do. The Nephilims, that's their goal, to bring confusion and to bring another Jesus in front of you. And they already have done. So, in many ways, it looks like they are winning, but know for sure that the Most High Jesus Messiah is the faithful one, and he's the one that is conquered for us to know and believe the scriptures and have faith in that, and that will be counted actually in righteousness for us. Even that is like, if you read it in Romans, if you have faith, not only as I believe that's not just given to the Gentiles, but it's also given to Israel that are spread in the four corners of this world. So hallelujah, praise Yah. And also bless all the righteous of Israel that are scattered in the four corners of this world. And also everyone that is grafted in, all the Gentiles that love the name of the Most High Jesus Messiah. You grafted in to be one as Israel. And may the Most High Jesus Messiah have grace and mercy upon you and lead you in righteousness and truth. I pray that for myself and for everyone that love the name of the Most High Jesus Messiah. Now I'm going to end this video with going to Genesis 3:15 here. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your posterity and her posterity. Her posterity shall tread your head underfoot, and you shall strike him in his heel. Now, and Psalms here, that's the last one, 147. I always end it with this in my videos. It says, He declares His word to Jacob, His commandments and His judgments to Israel. He has not done so for all the nations, and His commandments He has not made known to them. Hallelujah. With that said, may the Most High Jesus Messiah bless you and be in shalom.